With me now is our next Sioux City City Council candidate, Aaron Rochester. Thanks for being with us today, Aaron. And could you tell us a little more about yourself, Aaron?
Yes, I am a local business owner. I'm a husband of Amy Rochester and a father of Tyler, Victoria, Isaac, and Kate, and have been a resident in Sioux City my whole life. Love Sioux City. Interested in politics. I'm on city boards right now, as well as the chamber boards, as well as downtown Rotary. And just extremely interested in making Sioux City a better place in every and any way I can, and look forward to serving the city in this capacity.
Okay, so why are you running for the Sioux City City Council?
Ultimately, I'm running because I care about Sioux City. I think that there's some policies that are in place right now that could be better. I see some things that we're doing as a city that are good. I see extra revenues coming into the city, but I also see spending that's disturbing, and tax raises that are disturbing and really hurt business and hurt people on fixed incomes that own property. And I just see some areas with street repair and with good paying jobs that I think that I could help be a benefit and try to help improve.
Okay. Why don't you tell me how you would bring new jobs to the area?
Well, there's a lot of ways you can do it. One thing that you want to do is not discourage people from bringing their businesses to Sioux City. There's a lot we need to do in regards to lobbying our state legislatures. There's different things that happen on the state floor, like when workman's comp, checks and balances were challenged on the floor, right to work. Those kind of things scare businesses away. We obviously use things like our SUTA plan, which is a statewide program, as well as a new program that we use with NWA this year called the New Market Tax Credit. And then we use TIF, of course, for new development in Sioux City. And those tools are great. We need to keep using them, but I think that we need to continue to tell our representatives that Nebraska and South Dakota have some advantages. So we need to basically have more opportunities to compete. It would be great if we could do a complete revamp of how we're currently doing our property taxes. But the main thing is right now on City Council, there's 3 votes that really decide everything, and those 3 votes right now have decided for the last 10 years to raise our operating budget every year an average of 8%, which raises our tax levy, which makes it very, very hard on commercial property tax owners that are assessed at 100% value, and discourages people that want to move here from starting a business here, because the property taxes are so high. We're really on our tax levy second highest in the state. So I guess my vision is to go in there, look at the consultant fees that we're paying, look at the high subsidies that we have in Sioux City, and try to keep our tax levy where it's at and work on it going lower. And really with some of the new revenues that we have coming in with Lakeport Commons and such, I like to look at a way to try to help filter more of our revenues towards property tax relief, to help our citizens as a whole, our young families, our elderly that are on fixed incomes that really are too old to go out and get a part-time job to cover the additional property tax fee that goes on their bill every year as those rise up, and as well as our business owners that are assessed at 100%, and it's really hardest on them because they feel those rises every single year.
Okay. Do you want to kind of talk more about how do you feel about the Stony Creek project?
Stony Creek will bring in over $600,000 a year in additional property tax revenues. That part's great. The thing that I disagree with Stony Creek is the way that it was gone about. The Chamber of Commerce, the downtown partners, and citizens as a whole felt like they were surprised with this project, that they didn't really know about it, weren't really introduced to it, weren't really talked about it. The development agreement that was put together for this is what they call an open-ended development agreement, which means there's no cap. It's not, we're going to spend $3 million and that's it. It's, we're going to spend whatever it takes. And I know with asbestos removal and the destruction of the buildings, the demolition, I know the costs have already higher than what they originally thought they were. So I think that you need to look at those things and you need to cap off the costs so the taxpayers aren't paying that additional funding. Obviously Palmer Candy moved into a great new location, Stabler Meats expanded. You've got a lot of positive changes that happen, but there always is the cost to the taxpayers. We don't know how long it'll take to really pay back because we don't really know what it's going to cost us yet to have them come in. And the perception of the public as you go door to door is that we brought in another hotel that we didn't need to compete with other low-paying jobs, and is that really fair? Now, this particular project is so multi-layered and there's so many different businesses involved, it's just not that simple. But communication really failed, and I really think that's an area where I wouldn't have voted for Stony Creek in the beginning until we got more people to the table, sold the people on the idea, and looked at all the different layers, and then got support for it, and then moved forward, because ultimately what happened by voting it through so fast where nobody really knew the concept is there's misconceptions about it. People don't really understand the fullness of the project and how it's going to help that west end of downtown, and they get upset about it. And it just, you know, what Sioux City needs is for people to be proud of their town. They need to be happy about it. We need to promote Siouxland. It's a great place to live. Anytime you do negative things like that, it makes people feel negative about their town and say bad things. And oh, the city council always spends money. You always have complainers, but really this is a situation where you've got big organizations as well as individuals that are complaining and upset about it. And it's just something I think that the city should avoid.
Okay. Now, do you think there's a need for more parks, or are you emphasizing more of like improvement to the parks we have here in the city?
I think that, for an example, the new park that was just instituted over at Leif Erikson for handicapped kids, and obviously other kids can use it as well, is a great park. You know, I love it when we revamp our parks and put new equipment in. The main thing is a lot of our parks around town are not maintained as well as I'd like to see them maintained. Some of our equipment is out of date, but I think some of those things, as a city, we need to be more creative. We need to look at some of the nonprofit agencies and the places that like to help kids, and it doesn't always have to come out of the city's budget. It always doesn't have to come out of the city's pocket. We can share goodwill throughout the community by encouraging people to be a part of the solution and not constantly just reaching in our pocket and spending all the taxpayers' money, but coming up with creative solutions on how to make Sioux City a better place.
Okay. Now, if you are elected, Aaron, what would be your first priority?
Well, I believe that high-paying jobs are always a huge priority. I think that we should talk to Grassley and Harkin and King. And as these federal jobs come up, INS, as you know, because of what we've had to deal with illegal immigration, is expanded. And we have a downtown area that really is perfect for organizations like that. So having those federal jobs come to downtown Sioux City would be great. With the war, the VA has expanded. Why shouldn't those jobs come here? It's been a long time since the Sioux City's had federal jobs. And I think that'd be a neat opportunity for us to have those kind of jobs. I think another big priority, of course, is our policies and how we negotiate with new businesses that want to come here. I think that we need to have, I guess, more guidelines in place. We do kind of have hard, fast rules on certain things, like we don't give too much to retail. They can come on their own. Usually that works the same with hotels, but obviously this was a different story with Stony Creek. So I think that we need to have hard, fast policies in place on what are we willing to give, and are our assets really worth something? If we give an asset, we need to look at that and say it's worth this much, not it's a zero asset because the city owns it. I don't think that's the right way to look at it. And always you have to look at return on investment. I think that's extremely important. Beyond that, we also have issues with our town. It's an older town. We were established back in 1857 as a town of 400 at the time, and of course we've got between 82 and 83,000 people in Sioux City right now. And our streets are an average of 55 years old. Our water lines are an average of 75 years old. And what happens is people have to get from point A to point B, and so you can't tear up the whole city at the same time. So you need to have certain portions tore up and repaired before you can do other portions. What happens in Sioux City, though, is we do a bidding process where a contractor will say, you know, I'll take that job, and then it'll take 4 months to repair a street. Now, what happens with that is, for one, if they repair a street where there's a lot of elderly or people with little kids, they're walking a block and a half to get to their car. And they're taking 4 months on a project that may take, 45 days if they worked it all the way through. 36th Street off Hamilton's a good example. There'd be a beautiful day, you go by, nobody's working on it. It's not going to be done until November. It started several months ago. Transit Avenue is a good one. There's businesses down there literally dying because they're taking too long to get those street repairs done. It kills business. You can't get customers in when the road's tore up. And we can't do that to our local businesses. 85% of all growth is from within the city, not from without. So it's extremely important for us to have policies in place in the bidding process where we say, if you take this job, you're going to have it done in this amount of time. And if you don't have it done in this amount of time, we're going to charge you $1,000 a day. And if you have it done early, we're going to give you a premium for having it done early and having it done right, because that'll give us a chance to get to the point where we have newer streets, because that also attracts new people that want to come here and live here and have business here, but it's also good for the people that are already here. And so I think it's extremely important for us to make sure that those policies are in place and they're in stone, and we're really holding those contractors' feet to the fire.
Okay, and you think there's a big need for city infrastructure to be improved?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a lot of areas where people have swimming pools in their alleys and they didn't mean to. You know, they just, the street breaks apart every year, and what they do is they patch a lot of areas because they don't have time to rip it up and repair it because of all the other projects taking so long.
Okay. Now, I was going to ask you how your campaign is going so far, going up against city council incumbent. Do you want to kind of talk more about what your plans are and what you have already been doing?
In regards to campaigning, I've talked to organizations. I've probably knocked on about 3,500 to 4,000 doors and talked to individual citizens. And that's really the best way to get a good feel about how people feel about Sioux City and the issues and concerns they have, is to go to their door and just simply ask them, you know, what do you want to see in Sioux City? What are you happy about? What are you not happy about? And they'll tell you. And you just have to listen. And obviously make sure that you're doing things that benefit the city as a whole. Of course, you'll have individuals that have certain issues, personal issues, but overall everyone's concerns are pretty close to the same, honestly. You know, they want good jobs in Sioux City. They're concerned because young people aren't staying here. They have to leave and go find a job somewhere else. They're concerned about, believe it or not, traffic and streets. That's a big issue with a lot of people. Sometimes they're upset because their speed limit's too high on their street, or that they don't have street repair done, or they've got big potholes or what have you. And although it doesn't sound significant, it really can be, you know, and especially with our weather changing all the time, it's good to have good streets. Okay. And overall, there's just a lot of concerns that come up with spending. You know, they think the city gives away everything, and they don't always, but sometimes they give too much, and it does hurt our budget. And some of our subsidies are pretty high. We invest in a lot of programs that we lose hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, and I don't really feel like we're effectively going in there and finding out what the problem is, plugging those holes, and making it to where we don't lose so much on a yearly basis. Okay,
now real quickly, property taxes has been a pretty big issue. Can you real quickly talk about that?
Oh, sure. Ultimately, for example, 3 years ago, Lakeport Commons came in, and we have a 1-cent sales tax in Sioux City. That 1-cent sales tax is broken down with 60% of it going to property tax relief, and 20% to infrastructure, 10% to city building repair, and 10% to economic development. 60% though goes to property tax relief. Now what happens is 3 years ago we were at about $9 million in sales tax revenue for the city. We're now at $12 million, but yet nobody has really seen any relief in their property tax. The main reason is every single year, and we're at a $144 million budget now, we raised the operating budget by an average of 8%. Our current inflation is about 1.5%. So what that basically means is that we're raising, even with higher revenues, we're raising our amounts about the same, which is allowing our tax levy every single year to go up. And that hurts everybody, and it discourages businesses, and it discourages people that want to build homes here. We've got just as many homes being built on the outskirts of Sioux City as we do in Sioux City, and we're by far the largest town in this area. So it's a concern, and it's something that we definitely need to look at. It's something that I will not vote for anything on an operating budget that's going to raise our tax levy any more than it already is, because there's too many areas that we can look at to save money. We don't need to always have consultants come in for things that we have city engineers for. We don't always have to spend so much in subsidies when we can try to fix those problems.
Alrighty. Thanks so much, Aaron, for joining us today, and good luck on your campaign.
Thank you.